I didn't know you were going to ask that question, but I was looking at this earlier today. I don't know how well that's going to come off, but these are all of the.
Oh, nice!
Wow. These are all of. Yeah.
So today is Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. Who are we speaking with?
Yeah, my name is Gary Michael Wade, AKA Sunshine. That's what they called me in high school.
How did you get that
football name? Player? My friend would say, my coach would say, I hit hard. I was a really hard hitter. And he would say, if you get the ball, just holler sunshine and look for daylight, because I would be there like throwing the blocks for you. Yeah.
I love it. Start from the beginning. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
Okay, I was born in Bel Air, Ohio, a small town about 2 hours outside of Columbus, Ohio, and right across the Ohio River from Wheeling, West Virginia. And so we called it the tri-state area because here in that area, or there in that area, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia were kind of like all clumped up together. So you could go to Pittsburgh in an hour, you can go to Columbus in 2 hours, and you can go to, say, Morgantown, which is where West Virginia University is located, in about an hour and a half. So everything was kind of like, you could hit that one, ping, 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 and not put a whole lot of mileage in to get from point A to point B. It's a small town of at that time, about 60,000 people. And I was a good athlete. I was a good hard-nosed football player. And I came from a very impoverished situation. My family, we were poor, 9 children. We grew up in the projects, Lincoln Homes housing projects, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't terrible. We all had the camaraderie of, we are in this together, and we had enough to eat most of the time that we were able to, be happy. And as I've traveled around the world, I've seen that scenario over and over again. Poor children living in the Philippines, and they're running around with no shoes on their feet, but they're smiles, they're happy, they're content with who they are, knowing that, look, we don't have everything, but it's a beautiful day, it's sunshine. And that's kind of like what has led me to kind of like be the person that I am today. I think all of those really tough experiences and it was tough, but I came up through that. First generation college graduate in my family. And I've kind of sort of like looked back and tried to lead the way in terms of like helping my family and my friends move up the ladder.
I love that background. And tell us about I know you as from Body and Soul as a dancer. I also know you, I don't know you personally, but I just know of you and, saw you about in the clubs at Shelter. I also know you as a singer. Of course, one of my favorite tracks is Deep Down, John Robinson Walk Robinson Walk Project. As a child, did you have aspirations to become an entertainer? Or talk about that transition?
Okay, as a kid growing up I'm gonna put you on to some things that people like, it's find hard to believe. I am a retired New York school teacher. I am 66, come November the 21st, 67 years old. So I go way, way back to the originals. I mean, to James Brown, the Temptations. And in my family, we didn't have a lot to eat all the time, but we had a whole lot of soul, so long as our little record player was working, we had some music, skip the, what I'm saying, just like records do, but we didn't miss a beat. We did not miss a beat. And it's through that early soulful experience that I kind of gained a great deal of love for music, number one. But I had no aspirations of like doing anything outside of playing football. I mean, I really thought I would grow up and be like a pro football player. I mean, that was my, okay, I want to do that. I was a good running back and I was a good defensive player. And I thought that would carry me a long way. Lo and behold, you get out in the world, you go to college, and I ended up at this very small school, West Virginia Institute of Technology. And I started the first year, my freshman year, my sophomore year, but the pace of the small town I couldn't get it on. I just couldn't get it on. So I smoked more weed than I probably should have. And I ended up going back home, working for a while. And then in 78, 79, I moved here to New York City after an initial vacation here in 73, the year I graduated high school.
Was it culture shock for you coming from a small town?
Well, you know what? I tell you, it was crazy beautiful because, in that time we had the blaxploitation films, so, all of those films that like, Superfly. I loved that movie, and so when I came to New York, it was kind of like I helped a friend. He was an older, bit older than I was, but him and me and another friend, we came up with Charles Henry from Wheeling, West Virginia, to the Bronx, and we helped his family move from a tenement, a large 6-floor building in the Bronx. We couldn't even flush the toilet. It was summer of 73. The water hydrants were just like flushing water, and you could not flush the toilet. So it was like, whoa, this is like, whoa, the Bronx. We moved the next day from the Bronx to Queens. And I was like, what? This is Queens? They moved into a house, had a front yard, had a backyard, had these cool little doors that were like, you open up the door, you think it's like a library and it's a secret room behind. I was like, whoa, blew me away. But the real deal was when Charles Henry, that night after we did all the work that we needed to do, he took us into Manhattan, to 42nd Street, to Times Square. It was the back in the day Times Square. And I was like, whoa, this is it. This is where I want to be. The pimps, the prostitutes, it was 42nd Street of the 1970s. It was probably what most people would consider a hellhole. But to me, it was like, this is the bright lights. This is what I've seen in movies. And I loved it. I mean, I could just walk around the whole Times Square area, drooling. Amazing, just totally amazing. And it's what really set my aspirations to be a New Yorker. And I was 73. In 1978, I moved here, finished my education at Brooklyn College. I got my bachelor's degree in education. I got a master's degree in a special education, and I started teaching, and I did the music thing, but I never quit my day job. Hallelujah.
I was gonna say, how did you balance nightlife and having a day job?
Well, the fact that, you know, as a teacher, you work from about 8:30 in the morning and you finish at 3 o'clock every day. You go home at 3 o'clock. And so my whole lifestyle revolved around, and I've been doing this probably for, well, kind of slowed down since I retired, but I would not go to sleep until 2 o'clock on any given night. I would sleep 5 hours, go to work, 8, come home at 3 o'clock. And then the first thing I would do, I would take a nap. And so my nightlife kind of revolved around that schedule where I could go out, I could party sometimes till, like, you know what I'm saying, it's almost time to go to work, come home, take my nap, and then boom, you know, like I was all good with that. And, you know, knock on wood, like mentally and physically, it has been a gift. It has been a real fruit for my spirit, my energy, my passion for life.
Let's go into teaching a little bit. Explain a day in the life of a teacher.
Ah, man, I tell you, if you have a passion, a love for people, and particularly little people, small people, young people, then it is really what you need to do, because it is the gift that keeps on giving, you know. My whole career, well, started in special education. It started working with emotionally disturbed boys. In those days, we called it the 600 school, emotionally handicapped. They have some various other codes for Psi 1, Psi 2, Psi 7, special instructional environment 8, Psi 3. Basically, you're working with children who are mentally autistic in a large degree. So you have all of these various kinds. My specialty was in working with emotionally disturbed children, special ed, special needs children. So my entire career was working with the kids. So any given day, I go in. Well, it's great because this is generally what happens. You have 5 classes you teach in special ed. You have 5 classes throughout the day. You get 1 preparation period, 1 free period, and then you get usually another free period where they call it a administrative period, but it's basically a free period, and you get lunch. So you're teaching 5 classes a day, and in the special education program, you're going to be free, basically 3 periods a day. So if I would, like, you know, be in my classroom and then I was partying all night long, I would come in with like a zeal, like, you know, with some super energy, like, yeah, let's go to work, you know. And then 2 or 3 classes later, I got my little 45-minute prep period. I could take a nap in the classroom, put my feet up on the table and, like, you know, and then boom, the next class come in is like, you know, I got that super energy because I was passionate about what I was doing. I initially started teaching, I worked with, I was a science teacher in a school for emotionally disturbed boys. It was all boys. It was all kids who are, you know, basically came from where I came from. You know, the projects, they were in and out of the criminal justice system for various reasons. Their parents might have been, you know, smoking crack or doing drugs, or, you know, maybe the father was in jail, you know, and they're coming out of a single family home. They were real tough kids, but, you know, I had a sincere I see the kids now. I run into the kids even now, and they're like, yo, Mr. Wade, what's up? How you doing, Mr. Wade? And they got a super mad love for me. I have a super mad love for them in return, but I've always had that love for them. But it was quite an exhilarating thing to work with children if that is what you really want to do. You want to help people. I could be like like Tarzan, like King Kong, and stand up on a pedestal and pound my chest. Like, yeah, I did it. I came from poverty and I conquered. No, I don't need that. What I always wanted to do and what I still continue to do, even in my retirement, is try to influence other people in a positive way. I want to help somebody. I want to reach down and then pull them up, lift them up. So that's something I was doing then. I've been doing it for a lifetime, and until they come knocking for me. I hope to continue to do what I do, and I do it with my music. I do it in the lyrics that I write. I do it in my performances, and it's something that's pure. It's me. It's like you pour the water into the glass, it takes the shape of the glass. And that's kind of how, the love energy expels from my soul, my spirit. Yeah. And I would not be entirely a happy man. And I am one of the happiest people on the planet, but I would not be entirely the happiest person on the planet if it were not for, my karma, my giving and getting back that gift in return.
What's the most challenging part of being a teacher?
Wow. I would say probably some of the administration, the who you work for. If you got a great administrator, the whole site, everything is operating like a tooled machine. But if you have an administrator, a principal, assistant principal, why are you in education? You have to ask, why are you working with children? Then it could be a real, headache. It could be more of a headache than it should be. But again, outside of that, I close that door, my kids inside, it's just me and the kids. It's just me and the children. So I didn't take a whole lot of negative energy from any of the people that I've ever had to work with. But yeah, there can be some people that kind of get on your nerves.
Let's go back to the music and nightlife. So you moved here in '78. Talk to us about your discovery of the nightlife scene. What are some of the clubs you discovered?
Yeah, no, I say that because you know what? When I was in Wheeling, West Virginia, and strange as it may be, but in the 70s, just out of high school, then you can you can go into a bar and you could drink and, you can get close with the girls and dance. There was a club that we used to go to. We called it Sippy's. It was owned by, this big guy. His name was Sippy, but it's a bar that was in the middle of town, right in downtown Wheeling, in what we call the plaza. And then you walk outside the plaza, there's trees and it's like, water fountain. And it was like, wow, really. But inside those rooms, inside those doors, until they closed the doors up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, we would be partying. We would be jamming in Sippy's. We would be jamming in that place. So wherever I went, whatever, like I went to West Virginia Tech down in Montgomery, West Virginia. There was a little club down there that I found that was like, it had that little appeal to it. You know, I studied there for 2 years, like I said, and then I tried to go to Marshall University. I tried to go to Huntington, which is a larger city, but you know, I went there and I saw Earth, Wind and Fire performing one of their homecomings. And I was like, damn, they got Earth, Wind and Fire homecoming. But after I went there for 1 semester, it was like, I don't think I could do this. Yeah, but they had, you know, they had some clubs that had that vibe. They had real vibe. So wherever, you know, when I came to New York, I was looking for that experience. I was looking for that club. So in those days, in the late 70s, there were like all of these clubs, you know, most of them like, you know, Red Devil or whatever, you know, like around New York. And you could go through and check them off on a list. Like, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. No. One day I was in the Washington Square Park, and all of the cool people like kind of like, you know, gravitated toward the Washington Square down in downtown, you know, like, you know, the Village area. All of the coolest people were always like, you know, that's where you could meet people. And one of the cats that I met, Onwin, you know, he told me about this club called the Paradise Garage. And I was like, yo, you know, so it opens up at 12, dude. It's open up at 12. Like, we're gonna roll through there, like, you know. And I was like, I went to that club, man, and it like, boom, that was it. That was it. That was like bigger than any of Sippy's, any of the little spots, because the music was so vicious. It was so beautiful. It was so loud. It was so crisp. Stand up on top of the speakers and just like jump and slam and go to heaven, go to paradise. And that's kind of like, you know, like that's what turned me out. I didn't know you were going to ask that question, but I was looking at this earlier today. I don't know how well that's going to come off, but these are all of the.
Oh, nice.
Wow. These are all from 82, 83. Now I had one from 81, but I believe I cut the picture of. Now, back in the day, the driver's license was like this. It was a piece of paper, and then you had to put your own photo on it. So I think I cut the picture off one of my garage IDs to put on it. But after that, it just became treasure. And so I never, ever, later on, you know, we had a laminating machine in one of the schools that I worked at. I laminated it. So like, you know, I could never do anything destructive at all to any of those again. But yo, Paradise Garage was the club that, you know, turned me out on a house music set, you know, because before then, like, you know, I loved the James Brown. I was a big rock and roll fan in high school. I mean, like, you know, I could do some jamming on some Three Dog Night, you know, and some Led Zeppelin, like, you know, and some Jimi Hendrix, you know. But that club, that experience really, really turned me out in terms of the underground dance music. It was like the best. And it went on and on and on and on. And then boom, it was over. And that was a bit of a crash, because after that, you know, we were kind of like, you know, what do we do now? You know, and there were other clubs, you know, the Loft. The Loft was, you know, underground. It was like, but the garage you know, you had the garage, you had the rooftop, you had the movie room, you had the lounge for like this, like laying back and chill. You had the refreshments. Every morning you had the coffee and the donuts, the cookies, you know, all night long, orange, watermelon, whatever. It was always like, they were really taking care of you. I don't even know how they made a profit, because it would only be like, you know, $12, $16 to get in. You know, the memberships, you know, were like maybe like, I don't know, $75, $80, you know, but you didn't have to you didn't have to buy a drink. They didn't have drinks, you know, which was like, you know, that's great because, you know, you don't get drunk and throw up. So yeah, that was the experience that kind of like, you know, like, wow, that took me there. They closed up, and then we had some other clubs that kind of like, you know, tried to emulate that experience to some degree. You know, there was, I don't know, the area, the Palladium. Mike Stone used to do quite a few things back in the day. I don't know if you know this guy, but Mike Stone, the Bonds International, and even after Studio 54, you know, closed down from like, you know, doing their celebrity thing, they were even open to like, you know, to some Mike Stone parties. And so, you know, it was a bit of like, you know, okay, yeah, explore. In Brooklyn, we had a little spot called the Panorama. And that's where I met Willie Wall, who eventually, you know, we did the track with the with John Robinson, the Deep Down track. So,
tell us about that track. How did it come together? How did you meet John Robinson? How did you meet Willie Wall? How long did it take you to write that track? Like, give us the whole backstory and journey. That was the anthem. That was
an anthem. Yeah, thank you. The track was already done when Willie Wall approached me, like, okay, he introduced me to John. It's like, look, you know, I worked with Boy Jarvis, late 70s, I don't know, mid 80s. And we had done a number of tracks together and but, you know, in terms of like, you know, he was doing the shopping. So I was just the artist. I was basically the artist producer, the executive producer, because like, you know, I was like paying the money to go to the studio, And we couldn't get anybody to pick up anything, you know. And so, you know, I was like, you know what? Started putting some money down, got my drum machine, I got sequencers, bought a few instruments, and I started training myself to produce my own material. And I'm a school teacher. I don't have time to go and like, you know, I'm gonna go meet with this record producer or this record label. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to go there. I started my own label. It was called Database Records. And I put out about 3 or 4 tracks on my label. And then New Groove wanted to do a track with me. And so I ended up doing that EP. I gave them like 4 tracks, I think was on that EP in 92. And then soon after that, it was around the same time, basically, I hooked up with Clivilles and Cole from CNC Music Factory. And they wanted to put a band together. They wanted to do a little group thing. And it was a remake of a song that they wanted to do for this soundtrack for the motion picture, The Bodyguard, with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston. So, you know, they pulled me on board along with Jamal Alicier, Michelle Visage, and Octavia Lambertus. It was 4 of us. The idea was 4 singers on an album, each person doing 2-3 tracks, and, you know, a little mixture of like, you know, we did the one track that was going on to the Bodyguard soundtrack, and that was it. David got sick. David Cole, one of the producers, got sick. And so the album, we never did finish the album. And like I said, in the interim, you know, I'm still doing my thing. Willie Wall approached me about, you know, doing the Deep Down track. Now, the music was there, and John had worked one verse, the first verse, "If you be my woman, I'll be your man." He had already written that verse. And so I came in, I wrote the second verse, and then I did all the ad libs. So I did all of the backgrounds, deep down, and all of the ad libs that, you know, the voices, voiceover, everything I did, all of the voices. And, you know, they Simplex record, you know, wanted to do it. They picked it up and, you know, they ran with it. And a lot of people really, really like that track. Yeah.
What's it like to perform for a live audience?
It's a lot like teaching. It's a lot like teaching, like really, like, you know, because for me, it's a performative. Teaching has always been like a performance. It's like how you approach the lesson plan. You know, what do you do for motivation? How do you get children interested in the lesson that you want to give them? And so if you are able to do that in a classroom, you are really preparing yourself to be able to do that anywhere. So you can walk on stage, and if you have the goods, you know, if you can sing a little something, something, if you can, you know, if you can dance a little something, something, then, you know, it just makes it so much easier to be relaxed and to entertain the people who are watching, because basically, you know, that's what show business is all about. It's entertainment.
What is Body and Soul?
Body and Soul, the club came along, you know, after Shelter, after Save the Robot, after Area, after Danceteria. You know, it's one of the many, you know, wonderful New York dance experiences that have, you know, that I've been blessed to partake in. You know, Mud Club, you know, CBGBs, one of the many, many beautiful experiences. I mean, like, I love the way Danny plays, but when Danny is with Joe Clazel and Francois, and they're doing the Body and Soul thing, or he's doing the 718 sessions, or Francois or Joe is doing their single. I mean, you know, you gotta love it because they go deep, and the music is able to lift the spirits of, you know, anybody in the place. They are in the right place because that's what their music, that's what the energy brings. It's an uplifting experience. Get up on it.
Describe the feeling when you're on the dance floor and the DJ plays your favorite jam.
Love is the message. That freak inside of me show ya that love for more than a moment. That I mean, that's where I started singing at, in the club. That's what, you know, I would be dancing like, but the spirit hits you a little bit harder, and it makes you want to scream, makes you want to say something, makes you want to get in the mix. And that's really where I started. I was just at the club, having a good time, getting in the mix, like making my own music, you know, ad-libbing my own spirit, my energy, adding it to the vibe. And, you know, a lot of people, like, they know me, like, oh, yo, yeah, that's Gary. Yeah, he's always in the club singing. Yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. You know, spitting. Oh, Gary, come on. But, you know, that's what entertainers do. Come with me tonight's the night. That's my bad, sorry.
What is Club Shelter?
Oh man, Club Shelter is about the same. There was a club called Area back in the day. And it was like, when, this new music thing was coming on, and, it was like the punk rock, and like, and then like there was like in between, some like little, like, bougie nuance grooves. Well, the area opened up the club that later on became the Shelter. That was the same space, the Shelter. And, the funny thing is, I know Timmy. I know Timmy for many, many, many years. We used to, run around way back in the day. I used to go to his house. They were in the projects. They were living like, over in around the Chelsea area. But I used to go over there, hang out with Timmy. We would go over to Zanzibar on Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights. Tony Humphries was playing there. It was a Wednesday night thing. And that's the great thing about New York. It was like every night there was like some place to go. You can go to, the Panorama on Thursday, the Zanzibar on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday at the garage. It was always something positive and something really cool happening with the music scene. And so me and Timmy would go over to Zanzibar. We'd be there until they turned the music off. And then Tony and me and Timmy, we would come back on the PATH train. I was living in East New York at the time. So me and Tony would get on the number 2 train. At that time, the number 2 train would go into New Lots Avenue. I got off at Saratoga Avenue, and then Tony would continue on. I think he lived around New Lots. He was like kind of at that last stop. But, I go way back with these fellas. So when Timmy, started doing the Shelter, I had already seen him playing 1,000 times in so many other places. But the Shelter was banging, banging, banging. It was like, boom, it had that same energy that the Paradise Garage kind of spewed. It banged, and it's still banging. It's still banging. I think like, Timmy, he's doing something like October the 25th or something like, something's coming up soon this month. I'm gonna check him out because I haven't seen him for a minute. Yeah. But I did a track for Freddy on the Shelter Records just recently. Was released, mixed by old school brother.
Describe Club Zanzibar.
Zanzibar, New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. And you can't leave New Jersey. A lot of people say, where you ask them, where you from? They be like, New Jersey. Looking the other way. But no, New Jersey, Zanzibar, they were holding it down. And the other thing is, I'm from West Virginia. It's not where you're from. It's where you're at. It's where you're at. So Zanzibar, that was a real, I went there on the Wednesdays because, on the weekends, it was a hookup here in New York, Brooklyn, whether you were in Brooklyn. Now, all of the parties at one point were in Brooklyn. If you wanted to go out partying, you want to go out dancing, basically drinking, you had to go to Manhattan because Brooklyn, there was nothing really happening at all in Brooklyn. Flatbush Avenue, they had like, that's where, refresh my memory because my memory is like Junior Vasquez or
David Morales.
David Morales. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. David Morales had that little spot over there on Flatbush. But and aside from that, we had, like I said, the Panorama that was on Waverly. But there wasn't a whole lot happening in Brooklyn. You had to go to Manhattan in order, but to go to New Jersey, to go over to Newark and see, boom, that Wednesday night party with Tony Humphries, that was like, that was treasure. That was treasure.
Mm. How did you balance club life and family life?
uh, see me looking around.
Did I skip that question?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's a valid question because, but my wife at the time, we had in '89, I had my first son, Mikhail, and Gina, my wife, she was into, dance. We met in the club,
Really?
So
Which club?
yes, in the Paradise Garage. We met in the club. I met my first wife in the Paradise Garage, in the club. Yeah. So, and not that's there. We kind of bumped into each other on a couple of different occasions in clubs, and then, we got to know each other, and then lo and behold, we made a son out of it and a marriage that went on for about 12 good years, and we kind of went our own direction, and we're still good, very, very, very friendly terms. And my son is doing, very well, probably well. My oldest son, Mikhail. Yeah.
Compare and contrast clubbing now versus back in the day.
Well, I tell you, like, it's been a year. Okay, so I was over in Japan, in Osaka, in 2019. I've been like traveling in the winters because I just don't like New York City winters for like the last 7 years or so that I've been retired. And so being in Osaka in the winter and then coming back to New York in the summer was very good. So like I was in Osaka for 6 months, came back to New York in June of 2020. So 6 months over there, June of 2020, and up to now, it's like, I don't know what the club life is like anymore right now. It was, fairly decent, up until, the last time I was, because you still got, like I said, you still got parties like 718 session, the Body and Soul party. You got the Shelter from time to time that are still doing. So you still got clubs that you can go to and run into some of the, the founders of the dance floor, because you can meet the founders of the dance when you go to the clubs these days. People like Archie and Bravo and like, yeah. But and I'm probably the great grandfather of them all. But there's still places that you can go to and have a good time, but that experience that we had, that camaraderie that we had, because we were a small group of people who came back to the same place religiously, like going to church. We were there, and very often on Sunday morning, we'd leave there and then go to Washington Square Park and hang out until the afternoon. So you don't, most of the people, when I go to these parties now, we've all aged. We've all aged. So I don't know so much about like what the younger crowd is doing in terms of dance music here in New York City. Like, who is the freshest, DJs, where are the millennials going to like get their club groove on? Because like I said, when I'm going out these days, it's like, a very much mature, strongest word, mature crowd of people who've been around for a very long time. And You know, it's almost kind of like, you know, you see the jazz and you like all of the jazz bars and the jazz music is closing up and you like, you know, one last, you know, the blue, you know, it's, you know, and then the day the music died, you know, so I don't know, you know, how sustainable, you know, because like the techno thing came along and I go to like, you know, occasionally I go to, you know, where the younger people do go. And it's a techno, you know, it's not so, you know, four on the floor, that whole pounding beat that we, so the difference would what I would say would probably be in the music and what you know what they're dancing to right now.
Talk to us about fitness. How do you stay in such great shape?
Oh, right here. That's the easiest question because right here, it's all here in the mind. It's all right there, you know, and you know, people, you know, wonder, oh, so easy. How you do that? Yeah, but what I do is, I don't want to put a spin on it. Yeah, okay, I say, oh, I'm the happiest man on the planet, but if somebody's happier than I am on this planet, more power to you. Hallelujah. Because you have to be the king inside your own mind, your own body and soul. You have to be in charge. So, you know, how angry will you get if it's raining on your birthday? Oh man, my birthday is raining. No, you don't need to be angry. You lived another day. It's a blessing. You can see what? I work with children who are blind. You can hear. I worked with children who were deaf and mute. You can stand up and walk. I worked with children in wheelchairs who wish, oh, Mr. Gary, I could just get up and walk. We are so blessed, but we take it all for granted. We take it all for granted. We're breathing. We're able to think. There are some people who don't have that. They're hooked up on a respirator, okay? So we have all of these gifts and we ignore them. Don't take anything for granted, not a single moment. Enjoy every moment, one moment at a time. So you got an hour. Wow, you know what? Anything negative, I'm changing the channel. I'm turning the switch. I want to be brighter. I want to be happier. I want to be lighter. I want to embrace this world, this one time, once in a lifetime experience. So you get through a day. You get through 7 days, a week. You do it for a month. And all of a sudden, 12 months have passed and there you go. You did it for a whole year. You put the spin on it, maybe. How much spin do you need to put on it if you simply recognize the power that is within you? You can do anything. But it starts right there. And so that attitude, that spirit, that gift of light, skin, hair, it's, wow, what's that doing? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. But I know when to put the fork down. I know when to put the fork down. And I enjoy eating really good, really delicious food, but I know when to put the fork down. And I'm going to be active. I'm going to be dancing. I'm going to be running. These days, just shooting a basketball. And I'm going to be biking. And I'm going to be going to the gym whenever I can, because I want to be healthy for as long as I can. You see, some people say, "Oh, Mr. Gary, well, you've done all of this. You traveled all over the world. What do you want to do next?" I want to live forever. Okay, nobody's ever done that. Yeah, but yeah, in reality, it's not living forever until the Earth explodes in some stellar nuclear fusion supernova. It's enjoying each and every moment, every day that you live. That's living forever. Live forever. And so it may be part of the spirit that I bring to, my mental state. But also, like I said, I know when to put the fork down, because I mean, there was a point in my 40s going up to, I think when I got to my 50s, I was like, you know what, Gary, you got to learn to put the fork down. Right now, I'm probably 150 pounds. I've been up to like 170, 175. But again, that was like when I was nearing my 50s. So we're looking at probably about, I don't know, nearly 20 years ago. So I've been on point for, a good long while in terms of keeping my my physical and my mental in the same track. And I'm gonna try to flow with this forever.
Last question. Travel. Tell people where you've traveled around the world.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now that's because my brain is like, so like, I don't remember. I played football. I had a whole lot of boom, boom. And I smoked a lot of weed when I was much younger.
Well, then tell people some of your
okay,
favorite,
but no, Europe, my first trip, I called it my no more work tour. I did in 2014, the year I retired. I went to Europe. I traveled to Amsterdam. I traveled to France, Paris. I went to Germany. I went to Spain. I went to Portugal. But since then, it's every summer, every winter, I go somewhere to be like summer. So I've been all through Vietnam, Thailand, all over Asia, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, several cities in Japan, South America, Colombia. I've been to Brazil, Sao Paulo, Rio, Salvador, and Bahia. So I've done extensive travel around the world. I haven't been to the continent of Africa. I've been all through the Caribbean islands, and
What's your favorite?
I've done my fair. I love sushi. So I like Japan a lot for its it's very modern techno data. But in terms of the summer vibe, the blue water, the fresh air, Thailand has been one of my favorite places to travel. Bangkok, Pattaya City,
What advice would you give the next generation of clubbers?
Do you on the dance floor? Do you on the dance floor. You don't have to like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's okay to, you know, somebody else's move and whatever. And then like, this is how you incorporate that into your like, you know, little dancer. But there is so much freedom in doing you, listening to the music, almost like making love to the music, making love to the music, because the music, if you listen to it, it will tell you where to go. It will tell you how to do what you need to do. And that has been, you know, about the only thing that I can do right now, because yeah, I'm no good with like, you know, picking up these TikTok moves. I can't like, yeah. Yeah.
You had two careers, music industry and teaching. Why, how come you never left teaching to do music full time?
How come I never left music? I mean, like, you know, it's a good question, but some people would say, put all your eggs in one basket, you know, go out there and take a chance and do this. But I had a love for what I was doing in the classroom, you know. In the Soul System, you know, the band that I was in, Soul System, signed to Arista Records, Clive Davis, Clivilles and Cole, you know, Jamal and Octavia and Michelle, they weren't working. But I was like, nah. So I would, you know, we would do gigs on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, usually just on the weekends pretty much. Then sometimes we'd have to leave. We'd go to Miami for a week to film a video, or I had a principal who was very understanding, and she was like, okay, Gary, you know, I'm gonna let you go, and you know. But I loved doing what I was doing, and then you know, with the music, I loved doing what I was doing as well. So I had the best of both worlds.
Is there anything?
And then, you know, that's what's paying me right now. Like, I'm retired. All I have to do is live and collect my retirement salary and gobs of tax deferred annuity. So, you know, I have no regrets about any of you know, the decisions I made. Yeah, I could have like probably, you know, been another Colonel Abrams, or, you know, but, you know, yeah, I can at this age still go out, and then I'm in the Philippines and get invited up on stage, and then I'm up there jamming with a band. I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. That's where my vibe will always be, right there, man. So enjoy every single moment of every day you live, and we will all ascend to the same place, heaven on earth.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the fantastic interview, brother. I appreciate your time and your candor.
Respect, my brother. Best wishes to you, my brother. Right,
thank you, sir. Love you. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Love you too, bro.
All right.
Thank you. I don't know.